Ball vs. U.S. There are times when a defendant seeks to challenge his convictions on the basis that his charges were stacked. The defendant may actually agree that he was and is guilty to one or more of the charges, but was or is not guilty of all of the charges. However, if the defendant pled guilty to the charges, and the sentence was structured so as to allow all of the sentences to be served concurrently, meaning together, and all running at the same time, sometimes the attorneys and judges will argue that the defendant was not prejudiced or was not harmed by pleading guilty to the charges that he was not guilty of. This happens especially in circumstances where, for example, the defendant knows, and still admits, that he was guilty of one crime and the defendant received a sentence of 10 years for that particular crime. The other crime, the crime which the defendant claims he is not guilty of, the defendant received a sentence of 5 years for that crime. The defendant states that he should not have been advised to plead guilty to the crime and his attorney was ineffective for advising him to. Oftentimes when the defendant challenges the conviction, the attorney and judges will claim that the defendant experienced no prejudice or no harm from the conviction because the 5-year sentence received for the crime defendant claims he was or is innocent of is less than the 10-year sentence that the defendant in fact is guilty of. Even if the crime for which the defendant was sentenced to serve 5 years for is dropped and thrown out, the defendant would still have to serve the 10-year sentence. The United States Supreme Court in Ball v. U.S. has addressed this situation and has held that the second conviction, whose concomitant sentence is served concurrently, does not evaporate simply because of the concurrence of the sentence. The separate conviction, apart from the concurrent sentence, has potential adverse collateral consequences that may not be ignored. For example, the presence of 2 convictions on the record may delay the defendant's eligibility for parole or result in an increased sentence under a recidivist statute for a future offense. Moreover, the second conviction may be used to impeach the defendant's credibility and certainly carries the societal stigma accompanying any criminal conviction. Thus, the second conviction, even if it results in no greater sentence, is an impermissible punishment. Also see my other videos here which discuss other legal topics. Don't forget to leave a comment, like, and subscribe.